I promise if you're doing something on the side that you love, like you can turn that into your job. Like you can really create opportunities from that. I'm telling you, like I want me to be like an example. This is the truth. Firstly, let me just make it clear what I mean by the mundane. The mundane is a term that I use for any life that you don't want to live. Anything in your life that you don't like that you have to do, things that are indoctrinated onto you that you don't necessarily agree with, I refer to as living in the mundane. For example, if you're stuck in university because your parents want you to and you don't really care about the degree, that's a form of living in the mundane. If you're stuck with a 9-to-5 job that you hate, you're living in the mundane. If you feel like you can't bring anything to life that actually you want to do, you're stuck in the mundane. It's basically a life that's very dull. I'm somebody that has been actively fighting to break free from the mundane for a while now. And I always felt like I was somebody who had a lot of ideas, a lot of creative ideas, but they were constantly being suppressed by the indoctrination of society's ideas and society's norms on to me. Let me give you a perfect example of how I was being led down the wrong path, a life that just wasn't going to fulfill me at all. And maybe this is a similar situation to what you're experiencing, and I'm gonna show you how you can break free from this lifestyle, or at least slowly make your way onto the right path. So I was basically forced to go to university. Obviously, I made the decision to go in the end, but I really didn't want to go. And I decided to study psychology. And I thought I had an interest in psychology, but university killed that interest pretty quick. All of the classes are just old professors reading off PowerPoint slides, and they don't care at all, and it's the most unengaging work I've ever done in my entire life. And I was stuck in this program for 2 years. Me being a more creative person with a whole lot of ideas, I felt like I was sort of stuck in this program. So there was another great program at my school called Creative Industries. And Creative Industries I thought would kind of scratch that creative itch that I had and bring a lot of my ideas to life. I have a background in film and acting and fashion, so I was basically hoping that university would allow me to do all of these things that I was interested in a creative way, but I was definitely wrong about that. It was basically academic creativity. It's how to be creative, and the same thing, old professors reading off PowerPoint slides, like trying to teach you things, but you're not actually doing anything. It just felt like the same thing over and over again. I thought it was going to be a nice switch up, but it was still living in the mundane. I just felt like I was just going through the motions, living day to day just to get this degree that I don't even really care about because I hated the education. So rewind 1 year ago from today, I had a girlfriend and I was very comfortable. She had her own place and I had a key to that place and I could go over whenever I wanted. It was right next to my school and I was chilling. I was so comfortable. And this is something that's really important about living in the mundane. If you're really comfortable in your life right now, you need to switch that up. You need to not be comfortable. So I was with this girl for a little under a year, and my experience with university and going through the motions with it kind of sparked this idea that we need to be able to bring creative minds and people who think differently together so we can create opportunities for each other. So I had this idea to bring creative minds and people who do art, people who do fashion, people who do music, people who do film, people who do acting, all of these creative minds together for them to do a showcase, and they can network and they can talk and they can show off their work and they can meet people that are like-minded thinkers. So I was really passionate about this idea, and when I had the idea, it was about 2 weeks away from my spring break. And I was really convinced that I could do it in 2 weeks and hold it during my spring break. But all the people around me said, "Oh, no, you can't. You need to get a space. You need to make sure all the artists have enough time, like blah, blah, blah." All of this stuff that was put onto me when I wanted to do it. And I ended up being susceptible to that criticism and I ended up not doing it. So I ended up booking this space for about 2 months away, so it gave me more than enough time to do it. In the lead up to that event, I started my YouTube channel because I felt like I had this creative itch. I wanted to create something. I felt like university was suppressing my creativity so much that I felt like I needed to get something out into the world. So I started my YouTube channel. And when I started my YouTube channel, everybody around me, again, said, "What's your niche gonna be? You need to have a niche. You can't start a YouTube channel without a niche." And people who say you need to have a niche is basically like another way of saying you need to have a plan. You can't start until you have a plan. It's another way of people controlling what you do. People want to put their insecurities onto you. And of course, sure, it's good to have a niche. It's probably better if you have a niche. But the idea that you need a niche to start something is the wrong way to go about it. If you don't have a niche, that's the best place you could possibly start, because you don't know what you want to do. So you just want to explore your ideas. You just want to create. And that's what my YouTube channel became. I decided, I don't care what you say about me having a niche. I'm just going to create for the sake of creating. It's not like I'm trying to build this massive YouTube channel like Watch Mojo or something where I make videos about a certain topic. It's for the sake of creating. So my early videos are all over the place. I was doing vlogs, I was doing commentary videos, I was doing reaction videos. Like, you can go back on my channel and see all of this stuff. It's all over the place, right? So I started my YouTube channel in late April and I was uploading a whole lot of random stuff, and I was really falling in love with making videos. So I was so comfortable at the time that I knew I needed a major change in my life in order to reach the next chapter. So I basically broke up with my girlfriend and fled the country. I'm from Toronto, Canada, and I fled Toronto and went abroad for the whole summer. I was gone for like 2-3 months, and I went to Europe and I was working as an au pair in Europe. This was the best decision I made in a long time, because it was hard to be out there, and 2 months is a long time, but it was so much time just alone with my thoughts. I've made a video about the importance of being alone, and that video still stands true. You need to learn how to be alone. You need to learn how to use your thoughts to your advantage, because you have so many ideas that you don't even realize how good your ideas are. So I was out there for a long time, and I was still exploring all my interests with creation, and I was making all sorts of different videos when I was out there from June to about September. So I was gone for like 2-3 months. So I was making videos the whole time when I was out there. And when I came back in September, I was starting the school year again, and I was still making videos. And at this point, I probably had like 500-600 subscribers. Still no niche, still no nothing. It was just me creating for the sake of creating. So September passed, October came around, and now I felt like it was my time to really lock in on YouTube. I wanted to make a whole bunch of videos. I ended up making 22 videos in the month of October when I was at 600 subscribers. I really want to just bring all of my ideas, because when you start working on something creative, when you start doing your thing, actually, it's really like a snowball effect. You just keep getting more and more ideas. It's hard to stop. Like, once you get that momentum, like, it's just smooth sailing. It's straightforward. So I made a whole bunch of different videos, and that's when I made Just Delete Social Media, See What Happens, which is now at like 1.6 million views, but we'll get to that later. And that video did well. It got like 5,000 views on my channel at the time, which was like crazy good numbers, because I was still at 600 subscribers, 600-700 subscribers. October passed, November, I uploaded like, I still kept uploading in November. And then December came around, I sort of slowed down a little bit. And by the time January came around, I was sort of out of ideas, because I had bought this really nice camera and now it was freezing cold, and I felt like I couldn't use the camera the way I wanted to. And now I felt like, oh, I'm just kind of stuck to filming indoors, which I didn't really want to do. So this is when me and my friend had the idea that we wanted to start a business. So I basically started a business called Spirecore, and it was basically a film production company. And now all of my creative focus was on the film production company. And this is all while I'm in school, keep in mind. All of these creative outlets while I'm in school. So now all of my creative thinking was on Spirecore, and we were building a website, we were shooting films, we were like calling up actors, we were doing marketing, a whole bunch of stuff, right? And then at the end of January, early February, I went to Mexico with one of my friends. And this is when Just Delete Social Media, See What Happens started to really take off 4 months later. And when I was in Mexico, I was still at like 1,200 subs. It took me about 7-8 months to go from 0 subs to 1,000 subs. And let me tell you, that was the best process of my life. Like, going from 0 to 1,000 subscribers was like the coolest thing ever. And I kept creating when I was out there in Mexico. I made 2 videos when I was in Mexico of me just like talking about life and everything. And that video started to really go viral and really take off. And obviously now it's crazy how many views that video has. And 2 months later, I'm almost at 40,000 subscribers. I went from living a life that I didn't like, where I felt like I was living day to day. I was in a university program that I hated, and I'm still in a university program that I hate, quite frankly. But I had these ideas of things that I wanted to do. And they were being suppressed because when you're in university and when you're working a 9 to 5, you're busy, right? And when you get home, you just want to chill, you just want to watch a TV, and your ideas are just constantly being suppressed. And then once you finally go to execute on your ideas, that's when people are going to say, what's your niche going to be? You need to have a plan. Before you get in that bed, here's this weighted blanket I'm going to throw on you. Like, here's all this stuff you got to do now before you can really start. And people are going to try and indoctrinate this like warped way of thinking. And I don't know if it's because they felt like this was the pressure that they have, or if they just want to emit this pressure onto you. But if you don't know where to start, like, that's the best place to start. Because firstly, you know what you can do to start. Like, you know the step you can take. You just might not know the best one or the most realistic one, but you know how you could start. And it's funny because the point of this video is really about the ideas that you have. You need to bring them into the world. The point of human life, the point of existence, is creating and evolving, and those two things go together. Think about anything that's around you was all created, was all from your mind. By bringing your ideas into the world, you evolve the human race, even if it's not on a level that you're thinking like Picasso or Jobs or like anybody like that. The whole point of having a conscious is for you to be able to think. And if you're not using your thoughts to create things in real life, and it can be so small, it can just be anything, but it's really about doing what you need to do, That's why you have a conscious mind. Society is almost set up in this way that it tries to suppress you from doing the things that you're supposed to be doing, bringing your ideas into the world. They try to suppress it. You know how much money it costs to start a business? It's like, why is it that much money? All these taxes and all this stuff to keep you poor and all this stuff. So after everybody was like, oh, you need an idea, you need a niche, you need all this stuff, you can't do this, you can't do it in that amount of time, I went out and did it. And I was creating things for the sake of creating. My whole YouTube channel was just scratching a creative itch that was never tended to before, because the whole education system never cared about what actually I wanted to do. You know, it's like I'm in a program called Creative Industries, and it's like the least creative shit I've ever done. It's sitting in a lecture hall. So I needed to take matters into my own hands and start creating just off of the itch of creating. Like, all of my videos are just scratching a creative itch, and it happened to work out in a way. And now it's like I got these people that almost like watch everything I say, and it's insane. So you can break out of the mundaneness of life. I know life is really mundane sometimes, but you don't have to be there. You shouldn't be there. It's like a jail for our mind. It's like a jail for our soul, not bringing our ideas into life, not bringing our soul, not fulfilling our soul. You need to bring things into the world, no matter how small of an impact you think it might have. You need to bring your ideas into the world, because you got ideas, and you know you do. I always felt like I had all these ideas, but it was just like, oh, I'm too busy. Oh, you can't. Like, people just like, no, you need to go down this path. Oh, you know, you can't go be an actor in LA. You got to go to university. Like, oh, you can't create YouTube videos. You need to study film to do that. It's too much, guys. It's too much, and we need to break out of the mundane, because it's like a trap. It's a true trap. And look, it's not like I've broken out of the mundane and I'm living this like super crazy life or anything, but I'm still living like a separate life on the side where it makes me happy, you know? It's like it's a balance. You know, I'm still in university and I still have a job, but I have this thing on the side that I'm so passionate about, and I felt like I was always connecting with myself before I was connecting to anybody actually on the internet, because I had 1,000 subs just 2 months ago. So it's like you just need to keep going, and you need to create for the sake of creating. You need to do what makes you happy for the sake of it. People always say like, oh, do what you love and the money will come. And that shit is real. Like, you need to just do you, and everything will work out. The universe will reward you for that. We'll see that you're working hard to fulfill your soul, and will reward you for that. And it's an evil world we live in, truly. I don't know why it's set up like this. It's weird, but there's a lot of outlets for us to help each other. There's a lot of outlets for you to help yourself, and you can do that. You just need to start. You know, that's how you break free of the mundane. You need to just start doing what you actually want to do, because every day we do things that we don't want to do. Of course, we don't want to be on our phone for 6 hours, like, but why are we? Why are we stuck working in a job that we hate? It's all set up that way, you know? You just need to have your hobbies on the side, and your love and your passion on the side that you do every single day. And I'm so passionate about this. Like, this is kind of like what my whole channel has turned into. It's just, I just want everybody to just really do what makes them happy. I just want everybody to just actually do them, you know, do what they need to do whatever, scratch that itch that you've had in the back of your mind, scratch that curiosity, like do that, go down that path that's like the scenic route, or like a path that is very abstract, a different, go down that path, because that's what life is. Like, don't follow everybody else, don't follow down this path that you don't like, because that's no good. It's no good. But you know, everything in moderation. I know it's not like we can just drop everything and like, oh, I want to do art forever. You know, we need to be smart about it. And you know, I know everybody needs a job, but like, I promise, if you're doing something on the side that you love, like you can turn that into your job. Like you can really create opportunities from that. I'm telling you. Like, I want me to be like an example of this is the truth. You know, like I'm no different from anybody watching this. I'm no different from you. I'm just somebody that actually just tried. I'm somebody that made time for myself and did what I felt like I was supposed to do in the moment, and just out of curiosity I just created things. So yeah, I know this was a ramble session, but I hope I connected. I hope I'm connecting, and let me know in the comments if I've connected. Yeah, I love everybody watching this. I'm so grateful for all of you, and I don't want any of you guys living in the mundane, doing things that you don't want to do. So yeah, love you all. Peace and love.